This is not Minecraft's hardest escape room, but it is pretty darn hard, and I should know, because today I'm gonna be breaking out of it. When I first loaded into the world, I saw this room with several things around in it, with a giant pit below it, and I saw that I had 8 experience levels. There was a brewing stand in the wall with an awkward splash potion. There was a zombie named Zucchini with an anvil behind it. There was an item hopper with a pair of gold boots behind one of the end portal frames, and behind another there was a chest containing an enchanted book with Feather Falling 4 and Cursive Binding. So naturally, I went to the anvil behind Mr. Zucchini in order to put the book on my boots, but I realized that it needed 9 XP levels, and I only had 8. The Zucchini was holding a bottle of enchanting, but I couldn't kill him because I had weakness, so I tried mining his slab. Unfortunately though, it was petrified, so it didn't drop. Then, after double checking the chest, I realized that there was a barrel hidden behind it, containing 1 glistering melon slice, and at this point, I was pretty sure I knew what I had to do. But before that, I wanted to make sure that I had gotten everything, so I mined the chest, and behind it was a hopper containing all of Canadian's escape kits. I'm kidding, there was just bedrock, but it was worth a look anyway. I went over to the brewing stand, which was already charged, and I put in my awkward splash potion and glistering melon slice. This gave me a splash potion of healing, which would allow me to kill Zucchini and get the XP bottles. So I threw the potion at Zucchini, and it worked. I got up to 9 levels, and then I used the anvil to put the Cursive Binding and Feather Falling book on my golden boots. This meant that I would be able to drop down into the pit and survive, but the boots had Cursive Binding on them, so I was hesitant to put them on. But after checking the rest of the room for any hidden items, I realized that I had no choice but to put the boots on and jump down. I survived. When I dropped down, the first thing I saw was a netherite sword in an item frame, and then I saw a villager with trades that I couldn't do yet, so I ignored the villager for now. I saw this zombified piglin hidden in the floor, which I assumed I was supposed to lure through the lava to this golden pressure plate, but I didn't have turtle eggs or any way to aggro it, so I left it alone for now. That left this nether portal, so I went through it into the nether. On the other side, I was met with a room that had a room underneath me, covered up by barriers, a hole in the ceiling, and a chest with suspicious sand above it. In the chest there was a cobweb, and above the hole in the ceiling there was a mangrove boat, but I couldn't get into it. I grabbed the chest, but even with it I couldn't get high enough to reach the boat, so I tried placing the chest and then parkouring onto it from the nether portal. I tried for a long time to hit the jump, but if it was possible, I couldn't do it, so I gave up on that. This meant that my only choice was to grab the suspicious sand, and it's possible to do this using a cobweb. See, any falling block entity, if it's falling for long enough, will despawn and drop itself as an item, and suspicious sand and gravel are no exception, even if you can't mine them with your fist. I waited for a long time for the suspicious sand to finish falling through the cobweb, and when it finally dropped itself, I picked it up and I used it and the chest to get to the boat. There was nothing else up there except the boat, but I quickly realized that I couldn't actually collect the boat because I had the weakness effect. Then I realized that's what the sword was for. I dropped back down and I picked up the chest, and I also remembered I could get string by mining the cobweb with the sword. I went back into the overworld to see what I could do with these new items. I still couldn't do any of the villagers' trades, but I realized that one of the corners had arrows pointing to it. So I tried boat glitching through the corner, but it wouldn't work for some reason. I guessed that there was still something I had to do before I could exit this room, so I went back into the nether. And that was when I finally realized how I could activate the pressure plate. See, there's this glitch where if you get in and out of a boat or a minecart really quickly, you can go straight through the floor. So I stepped on the pressure plate and I saw a piglin spawn, but I still had to get out of this room. But that's when I saw them. A ladder and defense gate. Yeah, phasing through bedrock is that easy. But now I had a plan. I then spent an absurd amount of time trying to get the piglin to go through the portal to the overworld where it would turn into a zombified piglin. Which worked, it turned into a zombified piglin, and then went right back into the nether where I had to spend another absurdly long amount of time trying to get it back into the overworld only for it to walk in by itself while I was tabbed out. Back in the overworld, I killed the zombified piglin in front of his friend, which made him mad at me so that I could lead him to the golden pressure plate. I cannot tell you how long this took. Oh my goodness, finally! Wait, what even happened? After checking all the places I could think of in both the overworld and the nether, I tried boat glitching through the corner again, and this time it worked! I was forced to bleed off my chest, and then I went down a long spiral staircase into this weird looking room with end portal frames. After quickly looking around and finding no hidden items, I collected the anvil and the composter, and I also realized that there was a completely useless bat. It's useless then. I then moved to the room diagonally opposite the one I came in from, and I discovered that there was a tower that I had to climb. So I did this trick with the composter to use it as 2 blocks. I did a similar trick with the anvil. And that led me to a pale moss carpet, which even if I placed it on the string that I had, would still leave me 1 block short. It took a great deal of trial and error, but I finally realized what I had to do. I went back up to the chest and I replaced it with a pale moss carpet on a string. And since I can conserve the carpet, I basically just swapped the chest for a piece of string. Back in the other room, I used the composter, the anvil, the chest, and last the pale moss carpet to build up to the ledge, and I was able to conserve the pale moss carpet as well. In the next room, I was met with a cherry fence and a set of cherry stairs, and I did a quick check. Those were all the items I had. There were these pillars in 2 of the corners of the room that didn't look like they served any purpose besides decoration, and there was a hole that I had to build out of that was 4 blocks high. After trying many arrangements of the 3 blocks I had, I eventually realized that if I placed the pale moss carpet on top of the fence, I could get on the fence and then onto the stairs with the extra half a block that the fence gives. This next room had a 3 block high ledge that I couldn't see into until I had a very good idea, but even after that I couldn't see anything useful. There was also a space underneath it with a hidden piece of string, and it was now that I had the first inkling of what I had to do. I realized it would be possible to bring the moss carpet with me from the previous room, so I placed the string and the moss carpet hoping that I would be able to parkour to it and then to the 3 block ledge. And yeah, I don't think it's an understatement to say that this took me quite a long time. What you're currently watching is 20 times speed. Oh my gosh, that took so long. Oh, remind me never to do escape rooms with parkour again. The next room had a barrel with pointed dripstone, 8 cherry buttons, a dirt and a splash water bottle, as well as a stone cutter and a furnace. And it looked like I needed just 1 more block to be able to build up to the end portal frames. I knew it would be possible to turn the dirt into mud with a normal water bottle, but I had a splash water bottle and I didn't know if that would work. But having no other leads, I decided to splash the water bottle on the dirt, and it didn't work how I expected, but it did turn the dirt into mud. I then made use of the pointed dripstone to slowly turn the mud into clay. It literally happened while I wasn't looking. I then smelted the 4 clay balls into 4 bricks. Since a single wooden button gives you enough fuel for half an item, 8 buttons was exactly enough for 4 bricks. Then I made a brick block and used the stone cutter to turn it into 2 slabs, effectively meaning I had turned the dirt into 2 blocks. I built up using the slabs and the barrel, and the pointed dripstone just barely gave me enough height to jump over the end portal frames. There was a button, so I pressed it, and it immediately cleared a way back into the original room. So this is what that staircase was for. I also realized that I could grab my boat back and that the boat glitch corner had been cleared of the bedrock blocking the way, which meant that I wouldn't need the boat to get through it anymore. Then, after checking the villager, I realized that all of the trades it had were for items that I had obtained in the puzzle gauntlet I had just gone through. So I went backwards through all the puzzles I had just done, grabbing all of the items I could, and I eventually went back through the corner that I didn't need to boat glitch through anymore. I then went over to the villager and I traded for the 6 dirt that it could give me. But now I didn't know what I should do. I tried boat glitching through some of the other corners, but to no avail. I even tried using the boat to drop through the floor, but it was 2 blocks thick, so instead of going through, I just got stuck in the floor. I went through to the nether to see if anything had changed, and everything was still the same. I even checked the hole that had the boat in it originally, and there was nothing. Back in the overworld, I realized that there was a ring of blocks in the wall of the tunnel that I originally fell through that weren't there before. So my next problem was, how do I even build up there? I'll spare you the details of all the different things I tried. But the first step came when I realized I could place the boat on top of the nether portal, then collect the blocks and jump and get into the boat. Then, after some trial and error, I found that I could build up, place the boat, collect my blocks, and then jump and get into the boat, essentially turning one block into 5. So I did it again, and again, and each time I could feel myself getting just a bit closer, until I was just a few blocks away from the room I had to build up to. So I placed the boat and I got into it, and I realized that there was open sky beyond this room. I had escaped. I saw that there was an arrow pointing down toward the ground, but if I wanted to survive that fall, I would have to hit a really epic boat clutch. However, I'm not stupid, so I placed the boat and I rode it down to the ground. This is why boats are the best item in the game, and I had finally escaped. By the way, if you want to play this map for yourself, it will be available to download in my Discord server, which will be linked in the description.